For Tennessee to upset Alabama, they have to do one thing in particular, and Kurt Signetti is not leaving.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin, and thank you all so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in this, the greatest sport on planet Earth. It is my most packed big game pick segment that I can ever remember, because there are that many big games this week, and I'll try to get my best bets back on track on this episode. Brought to you, oh, look at that, by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. So, Tennessee, for the third Saturday in October, travels to Tuscaloosa, trying to beat Alabama for the third time in the last 4 years. It's wild. It's wild. That's what Tennessee is going for. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. But if they do, if Tennessee is able to go on the road and get a big-time win against a red-hot Alabama team, it will be because Joey Aguilar throws for more yards than Ty Simpson. Notice I did not say that the Tennessee defense holds Ty Simpson in check. That's not the requirement. Joey Aguilar is going to have to go toe-to-toe with Ty Simpson in this game. Whether the Tennessee defense can keep him 300 or Aguilar pops for 330 plus, which is what it feels like Ty Simpson could go for in this football game. It's got to be one of the two. Tennessee's pass defense, up and down this year. It has been suspect at times. Gunnar Stockton in Knoxville went for 304 and 2 scores. Ty Simpson is better than Gunnar Stockton, and he's playing as great a football as any quarterback in the entire country right now. Heisman ballots are routinely contained with 3 guys at the moment, in no particular order: Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza, and Carson Beck. Those guys are all playing high-level ball. 256 yards Taylor Green threw for against Tennessee last week. It was almost an upset. Almost an upset. Bobby Petrino, boy, Bobby Petrino is quite the storyline. We're not talking about that right now. But what Tennessee has to be able to channel in this game defensively is whatever they found on the field, schematically, combination of both against Mississippi State. My everydayers know I've liked Mississippi State all offseason more than most. They have done what I thought they would do before the year, and that's beat somebody that no one expects them to. It was Arizona State earlier this year. And they very nearly beat Tennessee, but the Vols defense kept the passing game in check. That is what you have to do against this Alabama team. You cannot allow Ty Simpson to have 330 passing yards in this game, and then Joey Aguilar goes for 240. I know Tennessee can run the football. The problem that I have with the Vols is that when they get into those games where they're running the ball really well, I feel like they have a better chance winning them when you keep the game in the low to mid-20s. But if you let Ty Simpson go crazy and your offense is not doing what it did do against Georgia a few weeks ago, then you're not going to Alabama and winning. You're just not. You're not going to. So this is not one of my best bets of the week because I think there's an element of mystery. In rivalry games, I'd always say take the points. That is my rule of thumb. I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb. I'm going to, of course, break that rule later on today's show when I pick the rivalry game of the week. That's in the business what we'd call a tease to a later segment. I'll take Alabama to win, Tennessee to cover. Not a best bet this week. I think Alabama wins 31-24, and the Crimson Tide continue rolling along. They're playing really, really good football, and I am excited to watch the game. I don't think Tennessee's upset chances are zero. These are teams that I both have in my top 10 right now. And if Tennessee loses this game close, you will not see me drop them outside of the top 15. Absolutely, positively not. Because I've been impressed with Tennessee. I just like what Alabama brings to the table. Quarterback play, at home, situationally. They're yet to lose an SEC game. I don't think that changes on Saturday. This game could really shake up the SEC championship picture. You could basically put Tennessee out of it if they lose this football game. But if Tennessee finds a way to win, boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Will it get fun. That's a fun conference anyway. Indiana's having fun right now because they just won probably the biggest game in the history of their program last week, arguably so. They go on the road at Oregon, and then they lock up Kurt Signetti. I would like to applaud the Indiana Hoosiers athletic department here. This is the second time that Cignetti has gotten a raise since he got to Indiana. They have extended him, guaranteed him all the money that he could possibly want. They have done everything to assure themselves and Coach Sig that they are going to be tied at the hip for the foreseeable future. There have been a couple of reports that Billy Napier might get fired this week. Should have already happened. It is inevitable. It is when, not if, in my view. If that job had come open, Cignetti's name would have been thrown around. And the Penn State job is open, and we know they're serious about football up there. We know how much money they're willing to commit to make a coach go away. How much would they be willing to bring in a coach of Cignetti's caliber? Indiana immediately acted after the big win against Oregon on the road at Autzen Stadium, which is one of, if not the most impressive win in all of college football this season. And they said, no, you are staying here. They know what they have, and for them to go out and be able and willing to make that financial commitment is really commendable. The transformation that Curt Signetti has helped Indiana undergo over the last couple of years is unlike anything I can remember. Give me another example of a bottom feeder program. No one, I mean nobody, in 2023. You know who the story of the year in college football was? Really for the first month, and then it fell off. It was Colorado. You remember Buffs Mania? Remember the Colorado hype train, the 3-0 start? And then they got derailed. And Deion Sanders still is moving them in a positive direction. But what Curt Signetti has done at Indiana would be the equivalent of Colorado not getting off to a 3-0 start, but going into Oregon and winning at Autzen Stadium, not losing 42-6. It would be getting his team to a national championship playoff level, not just getting to the Alamo Bowl, which is progress. But Indiana has been so bad, so irrelevant, so nothing for so long. And now you look up and they are a premier team in college football that this year is trying to go win the national championship. And they look like they have a team that can do it. They have got a quarterback who is playing well. They have a couple of NFL receivers. They have got some dogs on the defensive side of the ball. If you don't know Aiden Fisher's name at linebacker, you should. He's an All-American kind of guy. What Curt Signetti has done, again, give me the comparable example. I don't know what it is. In the top 10, let me throw up my top 10 here really quick. I have to find it, of course. Okay. So for those watching on YouTube, you can see my top 10 coming into this week. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Miami 3, Alabama 4, Texas A&M 5, Texas Tech 6, Georgia 7, Oregon 8, Georgia Tech 9, Tennessee 10. Which of those top 10 teams have been as irrelevant for the last 5 to 10 years, I won't even go beyond that, as Indiana? Ohio State just won the national championship. Miami was a 10-win team last year, and they have had some flashes. Alabama, I don't need to say anything there. Texas A&M has always had the potential, and you can go to the Johnny Manziel era. Texas Tech has flashed up and has at least been good, not a bottom dweller in the Big 12, underachieving in the eyes of some, but they've not been a bottom dweller. Oregon won the Big 10 last year. I don't need to explain that. Georgia Tech's probably the most comparable example, but their rise has not been as quick as Curt Signetti. He is in year 2 at Indiana. So I credit what he has done, and I credit the Indiana Athletic Department for taking this seriously, understanding other schools were going to call, and making it very clear, no, our guy is not going anywhere. Props, the Hoosiers are here to stay. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter. We're getting back to game picks. It is my busiest week of big game picks ever. I'm so excited for this segment. I'm barely going to have time to cram it into one segment. I promise we'll make it happen. The Holy War is up first. First, this episode brought to you by DoorDash. It is almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. I'll start with Fernando Mendoza and give him his credit. Didn't have the best statistical game against Oregon, 215 yards, a touchdown, and a pick, but did what he needed to. It was a pick six, by the way. Came back, led the offense down the field on a game-winning touchdown drive, and Indiana goes into Autzen and gets a 30-20 win. He delivered big time. You want? I'm going to throw a random sicko name at you. Malachi Nelson gave UTEP their first Conference USA win earlier this week. Were you watching that game? I was struggling to watch it because it was difficult. But hey, it was midweek college football. It beats no college football. Like those guys delivered for their teams. DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season. You could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day. Only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 8th. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on the doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You're looking for game-changing players this week? I got a game changer for you. Next day delivery. That's what Supply House has. That is a game changer. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free. Use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. I have thought a long time, all week. I have talked about these games throughout the week. It is time to make the big game picks. These are not point spread picks. This is just straight up who's winning the game. Bunch of competitive matchups, and I tell you, I don't know that I'm as excited for any game as I am for the Holy War. This is the most underrated rivalry in college football. It has got so many great elements to it. Lavelle Edwards Stadium, I wish I could be there on Saturday night. I really do. I love the play-by-play job I have, but I tell you, I wish I could be at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. It is going to be on fire. It is going to be electric. Do you remember how this game ended last year? A 1-point win for BYU, a late field goal, a controversial call. It drove Kyle Whittingham to coach this season again. I fully believe that. If he'd won last year, would have made a bowl game, and with a win against BYU, and now he goes on the road. With his head coach in waiting right there, Kyle Whittingham wants to win this football game. Maybe needs to win this football game as much as he ever has in his entire career. Is he going to actually be able to hang it up with a loss in this rivalry? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to. BYU is at home. Utah, according to FanDuel, is favored by 3.5 points. BYU fans, I love you. I really do. But the Utah hat is on my head once again for the audio audience out there. I'm going with the Utes. I'm going with the Utes. The Utah offense will be able to run the ball just well enough. And that's the key. If they don't do that in this game, they got problems. They got problems. This hat brought to you by the Game Caps, by the way. So I'm taking Utah to get revenge on the road. This is a theme for my picks today. There's a lot of emotion here. A lot of emotion. I cannot pick Kyle Whittingham to lose this game 2 years in a row. Sometimes in rivalries, you have to throw caution to the wind. You have to throw logic to the wind, football analysis, all of it. Get rid of it and just say, what is the emotional state of this game? And BYU, it's the same as always. Got to beat Utah. You got to win at home. You know what Utah has to do? Get off to a good start. Utah's got to start strong in this game. I was chatting with some Utah and BYU fans about this game. This came up, and I thought, man, this is a really good point. BYU is way more well-equipped to come back from a deficit in this game than Utah is. 100%. Utah gets down 10-0 late in the first quarter. I might throw this hat out the window and say, nope, it's done. It's done. It's done. I'm 1-1 picking Utah with the hat this year. I'll throw it out the window. Get rid of it. You might never see it again on the show. You don't have to see it for the rest of this segment. Look at that hair. Yeah, I'm kidding. My hair is nothing spectacular. So, yeah, I think Utah wins a football game. I think this is low scoring. Again, I will go 27-21. The Utes beat the Cougars on the road. Do you think that's the only big game? No, of course not. LSU goes to Vanderbilt. Man, it's crazy to say this. Crazy to say this. Hold, for those on YouTube, let's bring out the top 25 graphic again, shall we? Because in Spencer's top 25, Vanderbilt is the higher ranked team. How would you feel about this game? And Vanderbilt's favored at home, by the way, as the lower ranked team. I have Vanderbilt as the higher ranked team. Give me Vanderbilt to beat LSU. Diego Pavia is a wagon that I want to hitch a ride on. And so I am going, don't take that the wrong way. Just understand what I really, really meant to say there. You know what I meant to say. Diego Pavia is a guy. And you know what? Between the two quarterbacks, I didn't think I'd say this before the year because I was a big Garrett Nussmeier fan. I'd rather have Diego Pavia than Garrett Nussmeier. In their respective offensive systems, Pavia is playing better. The Vanderbilt offense has been better. Just facts. Just facts. Give me Vanderbilt 31-27. No, that's too high scoring. That's too high. That's why did I put that score down in my notes? That's way too high scoring. I know that. 23-17. Vanderbilt beats LSU this week. How about Georgia Tech at Duke? Am I going to go against Vegas? Nope, I'm not. I think Georgia Tech, who I have as a top 10 team because I think they have earned it and would have been in my preseason top 25. They're 6-0. I think they go down this week. The Blue Devils are playing some good ball. Darian Mensah has been throwing the ball the way that he is being paid to throw the football. And I think the Blue Devils at home, beat Georgia Tech, who I like. I love watching Haynes King play football because he's an absolute certified dog. Just a stone cold killer, will do whatever it takes to win. I think Georgia Tech's luck runs out a little bit. They get a little midseason reset. Yellow Jackets will be just fine. But give me Duke to win that game. Texas A&M at Arkansas. Look out. I said this earlier in the week. Look out, Texas A&M. Arkansas is coached by one Bobby Petrino, and they are not messing around. That is not an interim head coach. That is an interviewing head coach that really wants to hold on to that title. And all he needs to win over fans and boosters in Fayetteville is a top 10 win against unbeaten Texas A&M at home. We all know A&M's got a better roster in this game. We know that that's the case. I was tempted to make Arkansas one of my best bets. I don't know if I can get behind the defense. A&M wins 28-24. That's going to be a fun football game to watch. I really believe it. Oklahoma goes to South Carolina. Oklahoma needs a win. I don't feel good about the Sooners in this spot. I really don't. I think John Mateer can put his superhero cape back on after last week and go find a way to win against a South Carolina team that is really disappointing the Gamecock fans. So give me Oklahoma by a field goal. Oklahoma by a field goal in that game. Not touching that one for my best bets. I haven't even talked about Ole Miss and Georgia. You know why? I think this game is going to be the most disappointing of the weekend. I think Georgia is going to beat Ole Miss. I think they are going to do it by at least 10 points, maybe more. Give me the Bulldogs 34-23 over Ole Miss in a game that will have plenty of buildup, deservedly so. I think it's going to let us down. I hope I'm wrong. But I think it's going to be just, it's just a football game. USC at Notre Dame. USC loses close. Tyler Wojak of Locked On Irish spoke eloquently about how good Notre Dame is and why they're a big favorite and the history behind it. I can't get there in my head, but I feel like Vegas knows something, so I'm not putting that in my best bets. Don't want to touch it with a 30-foot pole. But USC will hang around. Notre Dame at home. I believe gets it done. If this weather does get ugly, as we talked about earlier this week here on the show, then I think that favors Notre Dame. Though USC's run game was great, not good, great last week against Michigan. I trust Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price more. So give me Notre Dame to win the football game. If the weather is okay, I'll stick with 35-31. If the weather is not okay, I'll go 21-17. Notre Dame wins. Either way, USC, I think, covers that big spread. Missouri at Auburn. Oh, boy. I don't think I've talked enough this week on the show. In fact, I know that I haven't. About the pressure Hugh Freeze is under. He better win this game. He better win this game. FanDuel's flipped the line to make Missouri a slight favorite. I like Missouri. I really do. By the way, there is plenty of pressure on Eli Drinkowitz to win this football game. If you lose at Auburn, if you lose at you can't lose a game the rest of the year. Heck, you might not be in control of your own playoff destiny if you lose this game, regardless of what you do afterwards. So I think Missouri off a loss is hungry. I cannot get behind Jackson Arnold and him throwing the ball in that Auburn offense. It just hasn't been there. So give me Missouri, give me Bo Pribula and Ahmad Hardy. Bounce back game. They feel like they should have beaten Bama last week. I think they go to Auburn, find a way to win a tight one, because that's all Auburn plays, is close football games that result in a loss. And then we'll ask questions about whether Hugh Freeze will be Auburn's coach going forward. So Auburn loses to Missouri 27-23. Finally, in the Big 12, for my big game picks. You see how busy this segment is? Goodness, we're like 10 minutes. Texas Tech at Arizona State. I've heard Sam Leavitt could play. That'd be great because it would make this game really fun again. If he doesn't play, Texas Tech will win by, 50, because it turns out your starting quarterback's important, but that's really true for Arizona State. Give me Texas Tech. I will not pick against my Red Raiders again for the foreseeable future after doing so with this Utah hat that I have a feeling might let me down against BYU. But I made that pick anyway. No takesy backsies. I cannot. I could, but I'm not going to. Texas Tech wins. Whether Baron Morton is 100%, plays the whole game or not, I just think that defense is really good. Arizona State has not been as dynamic on that side. They've been a little too dependent on Sam Leavitt's legs to run the ball and create plays. So give me Texas Tech 27-17. I think they beat Arizona State on the road. Those are my big game picks for the week. Spencer, you forgot about Michigan, Washington. No, I didn't. It's one of my best bets. First, this episode brought to you by Rugiet. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis, and maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Go Long combines two doctor-trusted medications in one dual-action formula so you can be ready whenever the moment is right. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, even into the next day. The process is simple. Connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. That is what you need in this situation. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com. That's rugiet.com. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. That's code LOCKEDONCollege at rugiet.com. And no, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel as well. That's KNOW, not NO. For FanDuel here, because FanDuel's got an offer you just don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Do you think BYU is smoking Utah this week? Well, there you go. That could be your first bet. You think Utah is smoking BYU? That could be your first bet. You think Tennessee's keeping it close with Alabama? That could be your first bet. Anything that you are confident in, hey, FanDuel's got it to make the college football weekend even more exciting. You have got point spreads, point totals, money line, prop bets. FanDuel's got everything you could possibly need to make what is going to be an epic weekend of college football even better. So, what are you waiting for? I don't know either. Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Check them out at FanDuel.com. All right, here we go. No bonus pick this week because I'm ice cold on the Oregon point spread train. But I tell you what, my favorite bet of the week is Michigan minus 5.5. Revenge spot against Washington. Coming off a loss at home. Washington on the road hasn't been great. Traveling multiple time zones, again, hasn't been great. Give me Michigan to bounce Justice Haynes or not. If he's not there, 2013. If he is there, 27-13. I think Michigan's defense is a lot closer to Ohio State's than Rutgers. And look, I like Damon Williams a lot. I've been a fan of his since he started to break out a bit last year with the Huskies, but dude has been balling this year. And everyone's asking, why isn't Washington ranked? And I have them just outside my top 25, but it's because they haven't played a Big Ten team that is really that good. Here's your opportunity. You go beat Michigan on the road. No way I'm leaving Washington. Not just outside of the top 25. They might catapult inside the top 20, depending on how it looks. But I like Michigan here. Again, back to my theme of the day. The emotions. The revenge factor. Alabama is looking for revenge. Utah is looking for revenge. Michigan looking for revenge. I think it is one of those spooky revenge kind of weeks. Halloween's right around the corner, so I'm going to choose to make that my reason. It's as good as any to pick a college football game, quite frankly. So give me Michigan minus 5.5 against Washington at home. I think Bryce Underwood is starting to play a little bit better. He's not the reason why I'm taking them. His legs could be a factor, and Washington will feel like they're looking in a mirror going, a quarterback that's doing a bunch of running, who's the best athlete on the field, that's our thing. We do that. Michigan will say, yeah, we can do that too. So give me Michigan to win that game, cover the 5.5. It's time to get back upon another absolute wagon of a train, if that makes sense. Mississippi State plus 9.5 at Florida. I have half a mind to pick Mississippi State to win this game. You know what? I'm taking Mississippi State to win the game outright. I think this is Billy Napier's final game coaching for the Florida Gators. I think Mississippi State goes into the swamp, finds a way to win the football game. Give me the Bulldogs to win it outright. 21-20. They scrape by. They scrape by and just discover a way to go win the football game. I have nothing to feel good about with Florida. Nothing. When you are there's always a final blow. When a coach is in his final moments, you look back and go, oh, that was the final blow. Northwestern was the final blow for James Franklin. This could be the punishing blow for Hugh Freeze at Auburn. An 0-4 start to SEC play, losing again at home in your third year. This could be it. This could very well be it. I think this will be it. With that rumor swirling around the Florida football program, I wish Billy Napier all the best in life. He's not the guy to be Florida's head coach anymore. Hasn't been for a while, as I have been saying. But Mississippi State, I think they go in there, shock the Gators a little bit, and you leave Scott Strickland with no other option other than, yeah, Billy Napier's no longer the head coach. Since you're at home, you can't tarmac a head coach, but maybe just don't have him show up for the post-game press conference. Give me Mississippi State to pull the upsets. Give me one of those statement wins for the Bulldogs on Saturday. Another one, this is on Friday night. Make sure you get on this before the game starts. Minnesota plus 7.5 against Nebraska. This is a serious upset alert. Serious outright upset alert. Nebraska's defense in Big Ten play hasn't been good. It's an opportunity, like that scene in The Big Short. And that, you're too close, is an opportunity. Well, here's an opportunity for Minnesota's offense, which has been average at best, to get back on track. Which of their two running backs will they get going? I don't know. I don't care. Has to be one of them if they're winning the game outright. If one of those guys, and I'm sure the Golden Gophers would love for it to be Darius Taylor, if he gets over 100 yards in this game, Nebraska is on outright upset alert watch. You had a rumor with your coach, which kind of got shut down, but nothing's ever truly set in stone until the big extension's been signed Kurt Signetti style. So that's hovering around the program on the road Friday night. Minnesota's defense is solid. Nebraska's defense hasn't been good. If the Golden Gophers can get just a little bit of offense, I think they can cover that 7.5 spread. Give me Nebraska to win a close one, but Minnesota covers just over a touchdown. How about this one? You're not thinking about this game a whole heck of a lot. But this could be actually more than Michigan-Washington, my favorite bet of the week. Cal is minus 9.5 against, drumroll please, North Carolina. What about the North Carolina football program and the team? Those can be two separate things. What about that do you not want to fade at the moment? Jaron Kiave-Sangapolotele can go crazy. And guess what? I don't care that Bill and Steve Belichick are there. Their defense isn't actually good. Nothing about North Carolina actually is very good. Maybe it'll work out in the long run. It's not working out in the short run. And what are they doing? Making a cross-country trip. These have been incredibly difficult. Cal took on Duke last week. I thought they would lose because Duke's a better team. They did. So they're looking for a bounce-back win. Playing North Carolina. Kind of strange. You go Duke, North Carolina back-to-back as the California Golden Bears. Yeah, it's weird. But guess what? That's where we're at in college football. And I don't think North Carolina looks like a very motivated, well-coached, or talented football team right now. They are none of those three things. Cal has way more urgency at home. Way better quarterback in this game. It is not particularly close. I will take Cal 34, North Carolina 13. I think the Bears roll over the Tar Heels. Lastly, I don't know about this one. This is again an emotional vibes pick, but I need an emotional kind of week for the picks, which are in bad shape. They were in 3-3 last week. Felt like a win. That's why we don't have the bonus pick this week. For those interested, I think Oregon covers 17.5 at Rutgers in a bounce back spot, even though they're making a long trip on the road. But I'm not putting that in here because I included Oregon last week, and if I hadn't, would have had my first winning week in quite a while. Quite a while. UCLA is down to a 2.5 point favorite against Maryland. Speaking of wagons to hitch a ride on, the Bruins are just playing good football right now. They beat Penn State. They go into East Lansing and crush Sparty. I don't know how you don't like that one. I don't know why this line has come down. This was UCLA minus 3.5, less than a field goal at home. Again, long trip. Long trips can be tough. Maryland got off to that good start with the win over Wisconsin, the lead against Washington. It has been downhill since then. Since the fourth quarter of the Washington game, Maryland has looked more like the Maryland team I expected to see when the season began, which I thought would be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. They're not. They're definitely not. That's reserved for, Wisconsin and Penn State, oddly enough. Just as we all predicted, that's why you play the games. But Jerry Neuheisel's still there. Nico Iamaleava's still there. UCLA is doing a lot of things right. UCLA minus 2.5. So, best bets for the week. Michigan minus 5.5, provided by our friends at FanDuel, of course. Mississippi State plus 9.5. I like the outright win. Minnesota plus 7.5. Cal minus 9.5. UCLA minus 2.5. There we go. Can't wait for a great week of college football. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.